One of the most common questions that I get about MBA is whether to do an MBA from India or go for an outside college. And yes, I have gone through the same decision making process as well. So I can share some of my thoughts and what are some of the considerations that you should keep in mind when making this decision. By the way, have you guys watched the IIM versus ISB video on my channel? If not, go and watch it now. Also, I've been getting some questions about this plant. It's a fiddle leaf fig plant and look at how tall it has grown ever since I started this channel. I think it was over here and now it is over here. Hi everyone, welcome to Insider Gyaan. My name is Somi. I am an IIT Delhi and ISB Hyderabad grad, and on this channel, me and my friends share our experiences with you guys. We talk a lot about our college and job experiences. So if that's something that you are interested in, please subscribe to the channel. Point number one in the MBA in India versus outside is the admission process. So in India, you can easily get into a B school even as a fresher, like the IIMs, or for other schools like ISB, you need at least 2 years of experience. But in general, the average years of experience when you are doing it from India is much lower. While if you are considering for an MBA outside, you need at least 4 to 5 years of work experience to be able to apply for those B schools. So if you have about 4 to 5 years of experience or more years of experience already, I would strongly urge you not to go for the Indian traditional B schools, maybe go for an executive MBA over here or go for an outside MBA. The other thing is you have to give GMAT when you are applying for the international B schools. It's a much more standardized process than the exams that happen in India like CAT. For the international B schools, you will be judged on your GMAT score and your overall personality. While for Indian B schools, it's still a little bit academically oriented. Second, let's compare the life in an Indian business school versus an international business school. So obviously, when you go to an international business school with a slightly higher number of years of work experience, you have a much better sense of who you are. You are much more independent at that point of time. And international B schools also treat you that way. They give you a lot of freedom. The life over there is more driven towards building a network, knowing your peer group, rather than just doing the coursework. Of course, coursework needs to be done, but alongside all these other things become a lot more important. Also because in international B schools, there is no concept of college placements. So you pretty much have to network and find a job for yourself rather than, this college spoon feeding you. In Indian B schools, and I come from one of it, so I know for a fact that the students there are still very, very academically oriented. There's a lot of push for getting better grades, and it's not as holistic an experience. Also, you are younger when you are going to the business schools over here. So you are treated not as an adult, but more like a fresh graduate only. Another interesting thing about international B schools is that you are away from your home, which I'm guessing is India for a lot of you guys. So when you're away from your home, you have to manage your whole, life and then coursework, live alone, meet so many different people over there from different nationalities. So it's a very multicultural and a much more richer experience that way. You become a lot more independent, you become a lot more confident. So in that sense, it really pushes you out of your comfort zone and it builds your personality in that way as well. Thirdly, let's talk about getting jobs. So like I mentioned before, in the international business schools, there's no concept of college placements. Throughout the 2 or 1 year of your MBA, you have to work very actively towards building your network, finding the right people in the, career path that you want to be in, and then find a job for yourself. There are of course all these network clubs and stuff that you can join, and the alum group of that college then becomes very, very important because you can get in touch with them and they can then refer you to their respective companies. So you are pretty much on your own in the international B schools, which can be good or bad. Good because it really pushes you to be independent and makes you in charge of your own career, and I can tell you for a fact that that's a really important skill set to have. So in addition to these 3 things, there's a bunch of other considerations that I think you should keep in mind when deciding whether you want to go for an Indian business school or an international business school. Number one is the cost, because international business schools are very, very expensive. If you opt for a US business school, the cost can be anywhere between 50 lakhs to 1 crore plus, especially for the bigger or the famous B schools like Harvard, MIT, Stanford. These will easily cost you 1 crore plus. Not like you need to have that money in your own pocket. Nobody usually has. It's very easy to get a loan as well. But one thing that you need to keep in mind is that you cannot come back to India if you go out for at least a few years, because the Indian salaries are much lower, right? You need like a US salary then to pay off your loan. Indian business schools, of course, prices vary quite a lot. It can be as low as 8 lakh rupees as well for 2 years. For IIMs, I think it's about 15 to 20 lakhs, I would say, for 2 years. And for ISB, it is 36 plus this year. Quite a lot for an Indian business school, but yeah, that's what it is. Next consideration for you is, where do you want to really live in the long run? Do you want to have a career and settle outside India, or do you want to live within India? If you want to live within India, then for sure I would say go for an Indian business school, because firstly the cost is cheaper, and they are also much more well known within India. So if you're doing it from a good business school in India, you will never face an issue of the brand name being recognizable or not. On the other hand, if you really want to live outside India in the long run or even in the short run, then definitely go for an international business school, because your chances of getting a job outside from an international B school are obviously much higher. And if you have a knack for, working with diverse set of people from different nationalities, then of course you should do an MBA from outside. That will also put you at ease into that kind of an environment. And the bigger brands in international B schools are internationally recognized compared to the Indian business school. For example, if you're from IIM Ahmedabad and if you apply for a job outside India, a lot of companies, a lot of people over there may not have heard of it, despite the fact that it is one of the best schools in India. On the other hand, if it is like a Columbia Business School or an INSEAD, then of course a lot more companies would have heard of it, a lot more people would have heard of it. So these are internationally reputed colleges. And the last thing to keep in mind is visa. Visa issues have become very, very, very real these days, especially for like the US business schools, where you may be able to go easily on a student visa, but after that, when you start working, I think after 2 or 3 years, your student visa, you cannot really work on it anymore. And then you need an H1B. And your chances of getting approved for those visas has gone down a lot in the last few years. I know of people who have had like set lives with their spouses and kids working there in the US, and all of a sudden one day they apply for an H1B visa renewal. It doesn't go through, and you are forced to go on a leave of absence for like a few months around the world outside India because your visa has not been approved, and there's a specific time before you can apply again. And there are a lot of other interesting business schools as well. For example, for me, I think INSEAD is like a really good option because they have 2 campuses, one in France and in Singapore. If you end up spending some time in the Singapore campus or even in the France campus actually, you end up getting a job over here. It is closer to home. The salaries are pretty much in range. The taxes are so much lesser over here. So yeah, those are great business schools to consider as well. Curriculum wise, both international B schools and Indian B schools are very, very similar. Anyway, people don't go to a business school for curriculum. You don't really go to a business school to learn something new. You go more for the set of peers that you are going to get with it, the network that you're going to build, to learn the real life skills, to be independent, etc., etc. So yeah, those are some of the things that I wanted to share. Overall, I think international business schools are definitely much more richer in terms of experiences, the kind of people that teach you, but it's also very, very costly. So it's a balance, and it's something that you should think about based on your priority. Hope you guys like this comparison. If you did, hit the like button. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I'm going to see you in the next video. Till then, bye.